Hi, and thank you all for tuning in. It's been a pretty good preseason for Arsenal, which saw us pretty much win all our games apart from that one behind the closed doors friendly against Brentford that we played our B team essentially. I think we have a lot of positives to take away from this preseason and going into the new season. And I just thought I'd do a little video breaking down the key elements of the preseason in the form of takeaways. So without further ado, let's get into the 6 key takeaways from Arsenal's preseason. Gabriel Jesus has truly hit the ground running for Arsenal. He's already scored 7 goals in preseason, which is like more than what Lacazette had for us in the entirety of last season. Right from the match against Nuremberg, when he came on and made that instant impact by dragging us into the game after we were 2-0 down, to the Everton match where a dead ball dropped to him after a corner kick and he just smashed it, followed by the chip against Chelsea, which I thought was superb finish, to be honest. It was such a tough finish, and the way he made that chip look was way easier than it was. And of course, the hat-trick against Sevilla, which I was so happy to witness at the Emirates few days ago. And I think the variety of goals he scores is really good. He's so sharp in and around the box. And I think Arteta said it best, that he's a player that causes chaos. And he does everything that I wanted from Lacazette. I wanted Arsenal's centre forward to be a player that can drop deep, link the play, lead the press, but also have the athleticism to get in behind defenses and also make good runs, be really intelligent in the box. And Gabriel Jesus is so good at sniffing out danger. I actually was speaking to my friend during the Emirates Cup, and if you watch Gabriel Jesus' positioning when it comes to corner kicks, he's always much wider than where the far post is, and people were wondering why he's standing there. But already in preseason, he's got a couple of goals from that, and I think he could be one of the signings of the summer. In this striker market, it's such a dry, stale striker market, and to get a player like Gabriel Jesus for the fee that we did, about 45 million, I think it's real steal for Arsenal. He's not just a centre forward either. This guy can play even on the wing, left wing, right wing. So he's a really adaptable player, and he's not one of those big egos who's going to be holding the team back or something. He's helping Arsenal. He is so important for the way we set up collectively, and I'm so happy once again that he's an Arsenal player, and really looking forward to seeing what he does during the season, because I think at Arsenal he has more freedom. He's the main man, so as to speak. At Manchester City, he was still really good for them, I thought, but they obviously had bigger players than him. But I think here he's able to really express himself, and you can see it. He picks the ball, he wants to dribble, he wants to take on players, and yeah, I think he's going to be amazing in big games. And in the moments last season where we could have really done with a player like that, I think this season we're going to finally witness what it means to have a proper centre forward. Arsenal play typically a 4-3-3 a lot of the times in preseason. Now I know that the way we set up varies according to how we defend and stuff, and where we are, whether we are in the final third, middle third, build up. I know the shape of the team changes. But to be honest, if when I say 4-3-3, what I essentially am trying to say is that we have a lone pivot, one defensive midfielder with two 8-10 hybrids. Now Xhaka's not exactly a number 10, but the way he's been playing more of a box-to-box role. And of course, Odegaard is more of the 8-10 hybrid. He drops deep, he goes into the pockets. It's so dynamic. I honestly think that Arsenal are too reliant on Thomas Partey. Too reliant. So if he's unavailable, if he's injured, it's going to be a huge problem for Arsenal, because El Neni does not have the qualities that Partey has at all. To be able to play lone pivot is one of the hardest roles in football. You need to be so good physically first and foremost, because you need to be able to break up play for fun. You need to make interceptions. You need to be really physical and impose yourself in the middle of the park. You also need to be really good technically, ball reception wise. And Thomas Partey has all of these things. But the thing is, El Neni, he does not have the progressive passing capability of Partey. And even if he does, he certainly does not have the mindset to play forward. He's too sideways. And I also think defensively, he's not on Partey's level. if you watch the way Arsenal build up, the number 6 is always supposed to like drop deep and like basically try to receive the ball. You need to make yourself available. You need to open your body up to say, hey, I want to receive the ball. The thing is, I don't think anyone other than Partey has the qualities to play this role for Arsenal. And if he's unavailable or injured, I think we're going to be in a bit of trouble, just like at the end of last season. Look, Xhaka can play in a double pivot. Lokonga can as well. Elneny can. But I don't think we control games the way we did, for example, against Chelsea by playing like the 4-2-3-1, so as to speak. So I think one interesting thing for Arsenal is, do we go for another number 8 or do we look to try to bring in another defensive midfielder? Now people say Lokonga has the characteristics to play there, and I kind of agree with them. But again, it's one of the hardest roles to play in football. Maybe he can play that role in a year to two, but for now, I'm not so confident. I wouldn't actually be surprised if Arsenal signs someone like Tielemans, and if Partey is unavailable, play Tielemans in the number 6 position. Now I know he's not the most athletic or imposing player out there, and in transition we could be vulnerable. But I still think that Tielemans, in terms of the progressive passing capability, is right up there with Thomas Partey. He's also probably a bit mobile, like he can turn even more easily. He's a little bit like Jorginho, but not Jorginho, because Tielemans is so much better in the final third. Like, he's such a good box-to-box player. But purely from the point of view of the way he passes, I think he can play like in the number 6 role as long as Xhaka's playing in the number 8. He probably needs just a little bit of cover on the sides. So he could be an option. So I wouldn't be surprised if Arsenal sign him, because there's really a dearth of good number 6 options out there. So I'm quite intrigued to see what Arsenal do. But yes, the point remains, the drop-off in levels when Thomas Partey is not on the pitch is way too high. And in the event he's not available for a crunch game, we need to find a way to cope and still impose ourselves in the way we want to do. William Saliba, oh my god, the way this guy defends. Oof, I think he had the Emirates on his feet, to be honest, in the weekend. Now I know we can't get carried away. I know it's Sevilla, but my god, the 1v1 defending of this guy, nothing is getting past him, And I alluded to this a few weeks ago. I believe that he has like this Van Dijk-like trait where he backs off. He doesn't commit too easily. He's not like a Mustafi or a Socrates who would just lunge at players. He doesn't commit too easily, but at the same time, it's not like he's fully like backing off the way Rob Holding does either, So I think he's so good in these isolated situations, and when Arsenal are playing a high line, I think he's the perfect defender to have there, and I'm so happy he's back at the club again. He's not conceded a goal yet in pre-season, and he's been a large reason why. It's not like he's just been part of a good setup and he's had nothing to do. I think he has had some things to do, and whenever a situation has presented itself, whether it's like being 1v1 where Havertz was 1v1 against him and Werner as well, in the Chelsea game, he dealt with that really well. And same against Sevilla. Whenever there was a 1v1, this guy was just like, you just could not get past him. And on the ball, so good, so confident. I really like the fact that he backs himself to beat like a striker when he's being pressed. It tells you a lot about the guy's confidence. He's just 21. I don't know too many centre-backs 21 years of age who can do what he's doing right now. I truly believe that Arsenal have one of the best centre-back talents in world football. And I believe that he's going to play 30 plus games in the league minimum this season. And to be honest, I think he's going to become our best centre-back by the end of the season, which is no mean feat, because I think Ben White and Gabriel are really talented in their own right and have really good qualities as well. But Saliba, man, this guy is on a different level. I'm telling you, like the way he defends, the way he plays the ball out from the back, the physicality for his age, how imposing he is, the aura he has. Wow, this is a generational defender. And I'm not scared about Marseille taking Saliba. I'm more worried about a club like Real Madrid taking him, because that's how good he is. He's already played like about 5 times for France, and at 21 as a centre-back, when you have to look at some of the talent that France have there. So it just tells you everything you need to know, and I honestly wouldn't be surprised if he's starting for France in the World Cup, because that's how good he is. And when I watch Saliba defending, I feel at ease. I tweeted this out the other day saying that instead of meditating, I think I should just watch Saliba defend. But I'm not even joking. That's the level of calmness he like exudes. So honestly, hope it continues. Hope the guy stays injury free. We've got one hell of a player on our hands. That I can tell you. Zinchenko has only had a couple of appearances so far, but you can already see what he brings to the table. He's someone who's so good technically. I mean, I think his technical quality is a joke. I don't know if you guys have seen that interview Kyle Walker gave where he was speaking about the most technical players at Manchester City, and Zinchenko was right up there. And just looking at the way he plays, I think it's not a surprise for me that he's like one of Manchester City's best players, or was one of Manchester City's best players technically. This guy's a joke. Like he can receive the ball from virtually any angle and make it stick, and that's what we want. And as a result of his really good technical quality, he's able to invert, whereas Tierney was more of an overlapping player. So I think having that inverted option gives Arsenal more flexibility in terms of what we can do tactically. I think he definitely brings a different dimension to Arsenal. Now, a lot of people say, oh, I want Zinchenko to play in midfield. But if you actually look at his positioning, he really inverts, and like when we are going forward in the middle third, he's always around the place where Xhaka used to play. So, like, I mean, people say he should play as a midfielder and stuff, but I think if you look at the inverted left back role, close enough to be honest. He's more or less a midfielder, and he's really thriving in that role. I think a lot of people think that he can't defend or he's so bad defensively. Yes, perhaps it can improve in some aspects, but I think he's still really solid player defensively. And again, what a signing. A player just like Gabriel Jesus who's been there and done that. And judging by how he started in these two games, I think he's already adapted to how we play. He's adapted to his teammates. He's making players around him much better, especially Martinelli. I thought has been fantastic in the last couple of games, and I believe that a lot of it is due to the technical composure of Zinchenko who's behind him. So very intrigued to see how he continues developing, but a really good start from him. I think he's already feeling the love of the fans, like during the Emirates Cup, and he also reciprocated a lot of it. Like he gave his shirt to a fan, then there was some fans with like a Ukraine flag. He went into pictures with them. So I really like the vibe he's already brought to the club, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what he can do in the season ahead. What a signing. I can't believe that we have two top quality options at left back finally, when few seasons ago we just had Kolasinac. So yeah, I'm really optimistic about what he can bring to the table, and if he does anything like what he's been doing in his first couple of games, I think Zinchenko is going to be a top player for Arsenal. One of the slightly concerning facts is our squad depth. My personal opinion is that we've improved in some areas. For example, as I said, left back is good, centre back is good. Right back isn't perfect because I'm not Cedric's biggest fan. But I still think that Ben White can play right back in the event Tomiyasu is unavailable, so we're fine there. The squad depth does concern me in the number 6 role, as I alluded to earlier. But not just that, I also think we need a wide player. Like Bukayo Saka has been playing 3 seasons in a row, week in, week out. And if he's not available, who do we play on the right? Like, I know Gabriel Jesus could play there, and you could probably stick up Eddie up front. You could play Martinelli there and play Smith Rowe on the left. We have some options, but I don't think they are optimal, to be honest. I still think we need like a top wide player. I think Rafinha would have been so perfect for what we're trying to build, but of course he always wanted to prefer to Barcelona, and it is what it is. We can't dwell on it. But what I'd also like to say is that we should like explore the market for like opportunities that may present itself. Now there's been some rumors, well, I wouldn't even say rumors, more like fantasy that we should go for Leroy Sané. Now I think a player like that would be so good, because just like Saka, Sané is comfortable playing right or left wing, and there are not too many good left-footed wing options out there who can play from the right and actually do a really competent job. Now you can always look to sign talents like players like Cody Gakpo, maybe Moussa Diaby. These are talented players, but for me, I would personally like a proven option, It's to take our attack from really good to incredible. Like, I genuinely think that we need like one game changer in attack, and that could really like solidify us as a top 3 or top 4 side. But yes, apart from, basically a wide player, a number 6, and I also would like another number 8 if that's possible. Maybe I'm being a bit too greedy, but because I'm just really concerned. Like, if you saw how Arsenal played without that first 11, you saw the second string 11, it was really not a good like performance even against Orlando. That first half was such a painful watch. Like, I don't want Pablo Mari at Arsenal like beyond like this preseason. Like, I really don't want him at the club. And it's not just him, it's also a few other players. Like, Maitland-Niles really does not look like a midfielder to me. He's just like not been good enough. I think Pepe as well. I know what he can do on his day, but doesn't look to me like he wants to be here. So some of the existing squad depth is a little concerning for me, because they're not really players that elevate us. But if you're able to bring in those 2 to 3 positions, as I alluded to, a number 6, a good wide player, and a number 8 as well, I think we can have a really competent squad. And after that, yeah, we can probably look to raise the level maybe next summer with maybe 1, not just 2 big signings. So I think we're really close to having a complete squad, which is a good thing. But yes, we have a lot of players to shift out. Like, as we saw in the performances, they're either not motivated or they're just not good enough in 2022. So one way or another, we need to find a way to shift these guys. And personally, what I think will happen is we're going to try to sell some of these players. But if we don't, we're just going to pay them off. And Edu did say in an interview recently that sometimes just paying a player off is best economically, because you don't want players who don't want to be here in the dressing room and not like having that same vibe which some of the other teammates have. We saw this issue in 2020, when Ozil and Socrates, for example, were left out of the squad. And I'm not saying they caused trouble in the dressing room or something, but I just think that it does not create a good environment for the dressing room. So hopefully we shift some of these players out and do a couple of incomings at least, and we can really look forward to the season in peace without worrying too much about injuries to certain individuals. Last but not the least, I want to speak about a tactical element which has really impressed me, and that's our high press. How good we have been when it comes to suffocating opposition players. I think a lot of it stems from Gabriel Jesus. Now, there's this quote by Guardiola where he really lauded Jesus as the huge reason why Manchester City are able to play so high. And I think we're seeing that at Arsenal. The way he presses from the front is incredible. But it's not just him. He's followed by the likes of Martinelli. Saka presses as well. And Odegaard, if you watch him on the pitch, and this is something you might notice if you've been to games, Odegaard is the guy who's always like initiating the press. I know Gabriel Jesus leads the press, but Odegaard is the one who's always telling his teammates, press, keep going. And there's no surprise why he was made captain, because he was really always a vocal player. Even last season on the pitch, like during the Wolves game, when we were 1-0 down, and after 70 minutes, he was the guy who was really telling the players to keep concentration, keep focus, keep calm. And I really love the intensity in our press, because you have Jesus, you have Martinelli, who I think is probably one of the best pressing under 21 players in Europe. Saka as well is really good. Odegaard. Then Granit Xhaka, I know number 8 is not his role, but my God, this guy can cover some distance. And he's as well really intense. And of course, then you have Thomas Partey, who's also a really intense player at 6. Then you have the fullback Zinchenko and Ben White, who are also really physical players. I know Zinchenko was not imposing, but he is still physical and has that bite about him. So you have players from the sides as well pressing. Then you have Saliba, you have Gabriel. I think it's actually such a physical team, and I think this is something that Arsenal fans have always wanted to do, which is marrying that physicality with technicality, because I think in the past under Wenger we had technicality but not physicality. I think under Unai Emery at times we lacked technicality but had physicality, but now we're marrying both elements, and my God, our press is so good. The way we suffocated Chelsea was just incredible, and even Sevilla as well. But for me, the Chelsea game, oh wow, the way we pressed and the way we kept recycling the ball, fantastic. This is what I want to see from an Arsenal side. It was almost like a Jurgen Klopp side, the way we pressed and the way we like how intense we were, and we didn't take too many passes as well to get to the final third. We're so fluent in how we're playing within that structure. So long may it continue, and I really hope that over 38 games we're able to like sustain this press and not drop off, because I think the moment you drop off, you're letting the opponent off the hook. So keep the intensity going, and I'm really optimistic for what we can do if we continue to play in this way. Of course, Gabriel Jesus is key, as is Martinelli, but you also have guys like Eddie off the bench who can also press really well. And Fabio Vieira, from what I watched of him, is also a pretty intense player. So very much looking forward to seeing what we do this season with these high pressing players, the intensity coupled with technicality. I think it's going to lead to something beautiful personally. That brings me to the end of the video. Thank you so much for tuning in. You can find me on Twitter at LTArsenal. And if you haven't already, please drop a sub. It will really mean a lot to me and help me get started. So until next time, take care.